Our conference was organized into large group interactions where our whole community that was attending would be present in viewing things that were presented by guest speakers or by the community in different groups. And then we also had our small breakout groups, which involved 6 different breakout areas: food, water, energy, green business models, land, and social sustainability. In our first breakout session on Saturday morning, we used a pad and paper to write letters to our children or grandchildren or friends and relatives of what we would like to see in the year 2020 for our community. After that, the breakout group facilitators had a roundtable session with each member of their group where they tried to discover common themes in those group ideas that were brought forth in the letters, culling those themes together into a list that they would then present. There were also sketchers involved in the very first breakout session, and they sketched these ideas into visual form. Following this breakout session, our entire large audience reassembled and took a view of all these different ideas. We went around group by group, and the facilitators presented their ideas both in visual form in terms of the sketches that were made, and also in terms of written out ideas and bullet points. We had a second breakout group visioning session where we took a look at how could we work back from the year 2020 of the first session by looking at where we wanted our community to be in the year 2012. We did the same similar kind of process of culling those ideas and organizing them together. And then we had what we called a rotating fishbowl. 1 or 2 members from each of the breakout groups sitting together in a large horseshoe shape with some funny looking hats on. And the reason they had those hats on was that they identified which group they were representing. We also had an empty chair that was for a member of the audience to come forth whenever they had something interesting or valuable to contribute to the discussion of what was happening. The information that came forth was sort of a compendium of ideas of the visions that were being brought forth during the first 2 sessions. Also, this beginning sense of how that these different groups needed to begin to work together cohesively and comprehensively in order to start to bring some of these visions about, which was really the main purpose of the fishbowl. The other element that's important in looking at the fishbowl is the audience, because they formed a complementary horseshoe to this smaller horseshoe, and they witnessed what was happening. And having a witness, a large group witness of what was happening in the larger fishbowl is really quite important. These people that represent these small groups, who also represent all of us in a way, can't just be off in a vacuum somewhere. They need to be accountable to the larger community, and that's an important component of what was happening during the fishbowl. On Sunday, our final breakout session involved taking the visions that we created for the year 2020 and then moving back to the year 2012 and saying, okay, where do we want to start out in the next 6 months or a year? What can we do right now in this community to get started working towards turning these visions into an achievable reality? Then the most exciting aspect of our conference of all happened after that final breakout session. We gathered together, and all of the facilitators from all the different groups and all of their flip charts were brought forth, and we took a look at our entire compendium for the conference. We looked at the final recommendations that our conference has for our community, for our community's governing bodies, namely the POA and the Town of Crestone, and also the Crestone-Baca Planning Commission. We then followed up with some final recommendations and a final period of discussion about where we could move forward in terms of next steps.